So again, welcome to the Moose Jaw Art Gallery and Museum Noon Hour Slides. I'm Michelle Carleen Gallagher, and I'd like to acknowledge that we are on treaty land, referred to as Treaty 4 territory, and that the city of Moose Jaw and all the people here are beneficiaries of this treaty. Treaty 4 encompasses the lands of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, and is homeland to the Métis Nation. We respect and honor the treaties that were made on all territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we are committed to move forward in partnership with Indigenous nations in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. So welcome to my trip of the beautiful Galapagos Islands. These islands are a volcanic archipelago which straddles the equator. They're located in the country of Ecuador in South America. So this is a picture of my friend Karen Power, it used to be, Karen Spencer and myself. She's a Moose Jaw girl as well. She's my new travel partner because we both retired at the same time. And this is our fall getaways, and this was our very first one. So you can see we've landed in Balta, and you can just see past the airplane the beautiful turquoise waters. The first creature to greet us was this land iguana. And you can see that's the gateway on the left to the Galapagos. I was going to say interrogation, that's not true. It's where you have to check in. Every person who arrives in the Galapagos Islands must check through immigration, and everyone pays $200 cash. And that helps protect the park's ecosystems. And I think it's definitely well worth it. We went on this journey with the company Hurtigruten, which are a Norwegian company who hire local people to run all of their ships. And that is our ship, the Santa Cruz 2 in front of you on the left. And you can see the front tip of the Panga, which is the name of kind of the life raft boats, not a life raft, but the tiny boats that take us to and from the islands. And one has our luggage and one has the people. You could tell by our grins that we're super excited to be on our journey. This is just a little bit of a look inside the ship. That's our bedroom with our luggage already placed there. And there's the rooms. They're quite roomy. We had our own bathrooms, and you'll see the dining hall later. So here's a good map of the Galapagos. We didn't hit every one of the islands. You can do 5-day, 10-day. I think there might even be a 12-day cruise through the Galapagos Islands. All of them include world-class nature guides. You are not allowed on the islands without a guide. This is actually our route that we took. If you follow the islands, you can see Baltra there and Santa Cruz, the giant tortoise reserve. That's where we ended our trip. Okay, this is Fatima in the middle. She was our nature guide for our group. All the groups are about 15 in size, and each group, there's only one group allowed on an island at a time, which also helps reduce the footprint to the islands. And you can see the Santa Cruz 2 behind the Panga. So every day we would get on the boat or get onto the Pangas after breakfast, come back for lunch, and then go and explore another island in the afternoon. That gives you a better view of the size of the ship. There were only 50 passengers on this ship when we were there, and it has a capacity to hold many more. So it was a nice time of year to be there because we had the crew to ourselves. So this was kind of the quest. I'm a real nature girl, and this was what I was super excited about, was the Galapagos Big 15. So when you go to the Galapagos, these are the animals that you are hoping to see. And we saw 12 of the 15, which is pretty amazing. And we were actually only there for 5 days. So the first beach we landed on was in my first screen, Bacchus Beach. Santa Cruz Island. This sand is like talc. It's just super soft and beautiful. And because they're volcanic islands, you're going to see a lot of different rocks with porous holes and kind of lava. So there we are, our first big 15, the American flamingo. And on the far right are actually sea turtle tracks. And you can see the ship in the distance there. We did not see any sea turtles on the land, but they were definitely in the water with us at times. And this would be the lagoon where the flamingos were. I have a short video here, just so you can get a look at how they're eating. And that's an oyster catcher with them. I was hoping one would stand on one leg for a while, but that didn't happen because they do that. Or even flap its wings, but no, they were too busy dining. There's a fourth one. So not a huge flock, just a small number. But there's nothing like seeing nature where it is supposed to be. And this is a little yellow warbler, not the best photo. We're going to see a few more later on. This is the second of the big 15 that I saw, and this is still day one. So this is the frigate bird, and the one with the red gullet sac is the male, and it takes, I've been told, half an hour for that sac to become totally inflated. And that is basically just to attract females. And then the other one is one of the frigate birds flying. You could see them flying all over from every island, really. This is another inhabitant of, I think, all of the Galapagos Islands. This is the Sally Lightfoot crab. And you can see the one in the top right corner is very bright. They're all the same species, but the older they get, the brighter their colors become. And partly it's because of the diet of fish that they eat. This is Karen and I on the beach. I've known Karen my whole life. Actually, she says she's known me her whole life because I was born almost a year later. And there it kind of gives you a good look at the sand. I always take a picture of my shoes and my feet. I don't know why, but I had to include it. Just, I guess, to prove I was there. You can see the color of the water. It's very clear, the water. It's just beautiful. So pretty. So gorgeous. And the fact that there's 15 of us on this beautiful island, it's not mobbed. There aren't umbrellas. It just seems untouched. Just beautiful. And this is just a little taste of the sounds. And again, just how isolated it looks. You can see the water. Being a prairie girl born and raised, I feel at home on the beach with the waves, and I think it's because it reminds me of the wheat in the wind. I just love it. And the fact that we can see forever. I think that's part of why I love it. And this ship also has a hot tub, which is a really nice way to end a beautiful day. And this is our dining hall. And you can see at the far end, there's a man in a white shirt and black pants. He was our sole, he looked after just us for the whole time we were there. Anything you wanted, just like, and he was always watching. They were just incredible, incredibly good. And the food was amazing. And we had a really nice group of people. You can see it's all ages go on these journeys. The hikes were not overly difficult. The gentleman with the white beard turned 80 and was on this trip with us. And that's our crew and the Ecuadorian flag. My guide, Fatima, isn't in that picture, but our captain is on the top right picture, far left. And then a double rainbow was the way we started our day too. Praying Monk Rock is in Buccaneers Cove. And this is a place that anyone who goes to the Galapagos will be taken to. It's quite an iconic picture. We all had our picture taken trying to imitate the praying monk, but we didn't receive ours yet from the trip. So there was an actual photographer with us who also took photos that they were to email to us. I think Karen has them and I hadn't checked on it. It was called Buccaneers Cove because pirates would often stop through here in this area to stop and get food on their way through. On the left, that's the frigate bird, just kind of sitting and resting, and some kind of dove. And that gives you a good close-up look at the rocks. All the rock formations, volcanic rock, was very different and quite porous looking. Lava flows. And there's my favorite bird, the blue-footed booby. So the frigate bird and the blue-footed booby are on that list of 15 that you must see. I just loved how all three were just kind of lined up. And depending on how old they are, again, their feet will be more turquoise the older they are, and it has to do with the fish that they eat. These are the Nazca boobies. And I know when I say that word, everyone's going, what? Did she say what I think she said? Yes, but that's the name of these birds. The only other kind of booby that we did not get to see was the red-footed booby, which I was sad. But what I love also about the Galapagos is the animals come first. Yes, tourism helps keep everything going, but the animals are the most important. And at that time, there was an avian flu that was hurting the red-footed boobies, so they kept all people away from the island where they knew the flu was. Now, I know you can't really contain live free birds, but we never did see any. This kind of just highlights the different activities you could do from the Santa Cruz too. So that's Karen and I on the Panga. That's Karen with her arms wide open because she's going deep sea scuba diving, not scuba, snorkeling. And then you can, depending on the weather, you could also go kayaking. So if it was too windy, then they didn't allow that. You could also do some beach snorkeling, which I did. I'm not a super competent swimmer. I can swim, but I just thought, I don't want to put anyone else in danger. Here's where me not being a marine biologist comes in. So in the top big picture there, I think it's a sea lion. I'm going based on size, but the Galapagos sea lion and the Galapagos fur seal are very similar. And I think you have to know a lot more about them to determine the difference. Then of course we have a brown pelican by the Panga. And then just a nice shot of the beach with the Santa Cruz too on the far right. There's my foot. And you can see the sand on this beach is so much different than the others. So very black. And it's still soft. It looks quite granular, but it was still quite soft. Here's our cellulite foot crabs. And it just kind of lets you see them moving. They're kind of, you could watch them all day, really. Well, I could. I'm not sure about the one in front of the big red one. It looks quite different from it. So it might be a different species. And that would be a lava lizard. And they're all a little bit different in coloring, and all of them have a little bit of red on them. And they're pretty fast, and it's not that big, so you kind of have to keep an eye out for them because you don't want to step on them. Another bird we saw quite often was the mockingbird, and they're quite pretty. And now we're at Santiago Island and Port Agos. And this is just so you can hear the bird. It'll zoom in a little minute. And we weren't very far from this bird, and it was just happy to sit there and sing away. Maybe it was telling us to leave, but we're not sure. They're just beautiful. Do I have any bird watchers out there? Not really. So I included both of these pictures because you might not have noticed that under the big tree on the left, it looks like a rock, but that rock is actually this iguana that you can see in the close-up picture. And there's just a good shot of the rocks. They were so interesting. I love this one. So just to look at them, they look so ancient, just prehistoric. And they're very slow moving. So this would be the land iguana. And there are two types of land iguanas, the Santa Fe or just a land iguana, Galapagos land iguana. And I'm pretty sure this is just the land iguana. Here's a little bit of the fauna. So those are prickly pear cactus trees. And all you from Saskatchewan know that we have the prickly pear cactus. They just don't grow like that. And again, this rock fascinated me. And then nice shot of the volcanic rock going out into the water. Another one, a little bit of sand as well. Now I'm pretty sure these are sea lions. And there's a video coming up that will explain this picture. So you can see the big male looks like he has a mane around his neck. He's trying to kick the female out here. The voice you hear is Fatima, our guide, but you won't be able to hear much of what she's saying. For an animal that's so sleek in the water, they're quite cumbersome on land. She's like, nope, I'm staying. You can't make me. Doesn't seem overly threatening at this time, but she's definitely not keeping her eyes on them. And she leaves anyway. But she's not happy. And then I thought, what a waste to go all through that. And then he comes out anyway. Chases her into the water. There they are swimming. And then just to the left of where those two were was this one, totally ignoring all the drama. I think that's a different rock, but as you can see, I was fascinated. And another little lava lizard. And then I just liked how our shadows were showing up on the picture on the right. So there we have a Sally Lightfoot again. And this is a marine iguana. So you can tell it's quite different, has a darker coloring, very much blends into the scenery. Look at the claws in the back and the front. It's just like, what? Wait till you see their faces. I think they're actually Halloween masks are made from their face. This more of the landscape. It's kind of alien, very what I think the moon would look like. There, they just lay in piles, the marine iguanas. And we're like 5 meters from them. It didn't disturb them at all. Very interesting creatures. There's a closer look at the one on the far right. Can you see its face? Like, yikes. They just kind of lay there. I guess they're soaking in the last of the heat of the sun. There's a good one of the face there. And you can see some of the people in my group were maybe 5 meters from this sleeping, I think, sea lion. There's a smaller one we see later, which I think is the first seal. There's a good one of the face. Look how long his tail is as well. Just hanging out on the rock. And usually our last tour of the day would end with a sunset. Just stunning. Doesn't matter where you were. On the far right is a great blue heron. And then just some more of the rocky kind of structure. And this plant seemed to grow everywhere on Port Aegis. The only green thing that was there, and this was early October of last year. That's one of the meals on the ship. And again, you're going to see a very different type of soil and sand. So this is Rabida Island, and it's more red, lots of iron in the soil. Someone's scuba gear there in that picture. And here we have one of the finches. So probably many of you are aware that Darwin created his theory of evolution based on the finches in Galapagos Island. So this would be one of the paths that we took. So if there were 15 of us on the island at a time, half of us would do a hike and the other half would stay at the beach and look at that area, so that there's never too many people in one spot, just to reduce our footprint. So we walk right through all these prickly pear cacti. That shows you how red that beach is. Some more of our lava lizard friends. And that looks like a morning glory to me, similar to our morning glories anyway, but I'm not certain. And then I just love this shot. Way back in the day when we didn't know it was okay, I would bring a seashell home or a rock off a beach, but now I just take a picture of them. And I just loved how it was that one tiny shell on the major red iron beach. Another lava lizard, he's a little bigger. And on the far right, this is a cactus finch. So they I guess eat the cactus. Not an ornithologist either, I guess. And I think that could be a seal, but I'm not certain. And again, just how great everything is. This is a flamingo egg that one of the guides had found that had been abandoned. And so what they did is just put it out on this section of our trail so that we could see what it would look like. So this is a different kind of crab. When it zooms in a little bit, you'll see its eyes are sticking straight out of the top of its head. And I just loved how fast it was. Just zipping along, the rocks are nothing. Kind of reminds me of a cartoon, actually. And then I think there we have another Sally Lightfoot. I really enjoyed the time just kind of exploring the beaches of every island we went to. This was a rare sea for us. Our guides were super thrilled as well, and they do this every day, but this is the Galapagos hawk, and not every tourist would get to see the Galapagos hawk, and it just happened to come land on Rabida Beach when we were there. And there it is, just flying in. It's gorgeous. Another thing I always take a picture of is my backpack, just to show I was there. Canada's here. And these are some of the couples on the trip with us. And we're actually on the glass bottom boat here. So that was another option on good weather days. So if you're not into deep sea scuba or deep sea snorkeling, you could do the glass bottom boat and hopefully see some of the same things. We did see a hammerhead shark one day. That was really cool. I did not get a picture of that. Kind of hard to take pictures through the bottom of the boat with your camera, but I did get this one. So you get a little view of how clear the water was, starfish and different varieties of fish there. A little close up of the starfish. But that's pretty clear. Like none of these photos are photoshopped. There's my blue-footed boobies again. Can you count 3? They're a little bit camouflaged. Look for the feet. That's us leaving Rabida. And here is Bartholomew Island. And the rock in the far distance is Pinnacle Rock. And again, this is another destination I think any tour company would take you to, because it's the most photographed shot of the Galapagos, especially the one that's coming up from the top. And here's another off the list of 15. This is the Galapagos penguin. They're absolutely adorable. They all look like they smile to me. Here's a little video of them swimming. They're hard to video because they're very fast. When they go underwater, I have no idea where they are. And he's like right close to the beach with us. Just bear with me, it comes back. So you can see how close we are to the beach. There he is, just bobbing along, living his best life. And he's got a friend he's meeting. Or she, I have no idea. And those are my footprints. And as you can see, I was the only one that ventured that far on the beach. And again, a conglomerate with seashells and things to it. Just beautiful. Another soft sand beach. Every color of sand on each beach was different. This is a lovely beach at Bartholomew. Great blue heron, different ship. They were everywhere. So this is us hopping back in the Panga. These are called Prince Philip Steps to take you to the top of the pinnacle. There's a bit of walking involved here, but we had lots of time to get there. This is called a lava cactus, and they look like tarantula spiders to me, quite different. They only grow where lava has flowed. And you can see how there isn't a lot of vegetation at the top of this. And there's a view of Pinnacle Rock from above. So if you look, there's the beach we were just on, where the penguins were, on the far right. Everybody takes this picture. My finger isn't quite touching the tip, so I wish I could do that. That's okay. That's my retirement t-shirt, because you have to wear that on your first trip. And Karen and I at the top. And then we did walk as far as the top of the lighthouse as well. And there's some more of the penguin and the Sally Lightfoot crabs. And that's a lava gull on the far right. See, they look like they're smiling to me. I don't know. Another view of the ship. The ship had a library. They had a coffee room that any time of day you could grab a snack or coffee. We were gone off the ship most of the time. But if someone wanted to stay back from something, if you're on maybe the 12-day cruise, you might want to, but I personally want to see everything I can. And the hot tub again, and our bartenders, just because. There we have the iguana. This might be the Santa Fe iguana. Just fantastic. They're pretty large as well, as you can tell. And on the far right, that is an actual Galapagos tortoise. The guides, again, were super excited because it isn't often that you see the Galapagos tortoise on the islands. So they were really pumped. One of the people with us actually noticed it before the guides had. It didn't come out, but we saw them at the reserve later. Very volcanic looking. So Genovesa Island, another yellow warbler. And oyster catchers there on the left. Marine iguanas. It's more a beautiful beach. Another pelican. And here we get to see some movement. It'll get blurry and then it'll clear up a little bit. But they look prehistoric how they move. And it just kind of looks around. There's something about being in nature and getting to watch nature in its natural habitat. And then he tries to go up the sand there and he keeps sliding down. Just sunset on the ship. There's the Ecuadorian flag again. And an Aperol spritz, which I thought matched the sunset pretty nicely there. Fancy desserts with dinner. And this was the night we crossed the equator. So most cruises through the Galapagos will cross the equator at some point. And that's our captain with the girl with the funny hat on. I like your latitude, 000, funny. So I have the blue-footed booby hat on, of course. Karen is driving the ship at this point, not really, but she wanted a picture to show she had driven it. And that's our guides above Karen. The captain is standing just behind Karen laughing. And that's us. One of the ladies from our group, she was fun. And that's our captain in the middle. And I couldn't quite get a picture of the instruments reading 0 all the way through, but that's as close as I could get. It's pretty cool to cross the equator. So every time they do this, they have a little party and welcome you in to the control room. Now, this video, I'm having trouble fast forwarding it because I don't want to show it all. But it is just off the back of the ship the night we crossed the equator. And we've got a whole bunch of brown pelicans. And you're going to see some flicks on the water, which are sunfish, called sunfish. And then you're going to see the Galapagos shark. Well, there were quite a few of them, actually. And lots of talking, because we were just amazed. Yeah, it's not going to let me. As soon as we see a shark, I'll stop. But can you see the little splashes on the water right there? Those are the sunfish. So the pelicans are dining out like they've never dined before. Yeah, there's pelican. You could just see a big gray shape there. That's one of the sharks coming in. As soon as we see one, I'll stop it because this is a very long video. So full. And I think we were out here for an hour. The video isn't that long, don't worry. We were out here for about an hour and they were still feeding when we left. Look how full that is. Ugh. Come on, sharks. Wildlife photographers have to be patient. Hate to sit here this long and not see a shark. There you go. Finally. They were pretty large. I was just glad I was on ship and not in the water. So our last day was spent at the Galapagos Tortoise Reserve. And they were fascinating, well worth the wait. And you just walk among them, like they're just out in the grass. You just ask to keep your distance a few meters at least. They're pretty slow, obviously. They can live to 177 years. That's the oldest known Galapagos tortoise. And the largest one can weigh up to about 417 kilograms. So they're pretty big. Again, quite prehistoric looking. And this is Karen and I just being silly, but you got to do that too. So this shell had just been put in this tourist area. So we both crawled into it. Karen's much better at making faces than I am. She said, look like a turtle. And I went, what? That's my best turtle image. So a good thing I'm not in acting. And that's my presentation of the Galapagos. So thank you so much for being here.